Would you like to learn how to make this beautiful, fresh stir fry for your family's supper tonight? Stay tuned to the next episode of Hilltop Stovetop. Hello and welcome back to Hilltop Stovetop, the show where we're teaching you how to make great meals in an ordinary kitchen. Today we're going to be doing a stir fry, and this is a great way to get lots of variety of fresh vegetables in, and it's also a very quick meal. It's also the kind of thing that you have an option to. Today I'm going to be making it with pork. I actually made a stir fry for my own supper yesterday where it was just a vegetarian one. I didn't have any meat at all in it. You can, of course, use chicken or beef, whatever strikes your fancy. And the key to a good stir fry is the preparation, because the cooking itself is incredibly fast, and you don't have time to stop and go, "Oh, I forgot to chop up this or chop up that." So we're going to start off by making sure that all of our ingredients are cut up and ready to go. Now, one of the key things is getting as much surface area as you can. So we're going to start with this piece of beef. And what we do is we're going to cut everything at an angle. So we've got lots, like it's a thin piece of pork, but lots of surface area to that. And then we'll do the same thing when we cut up the celery and the carrots. So again, we're going to go like this. So we've got relatively thin pieces, but lots of surface area. And that's going to make it that it cooks a lot faster. And so we will be ready to go. So now much the same as we did when we made the omelet, and we had all of our fillings ready to go, and we put them in order of how long they're going to take to cook. So first off, I'm going to start with the meat. I'm going to get that marinating. I'm going to put a little bit of Chinese 5-spice on that. And then I'll get all the vegetables and I'll put them in the order that I'm going to put them into the wok so that we can be ready to go. A couple of things about stir fries. Everybody loves them, but sometimes if you're somebody that has food sensitivities, they can be fraught with peril. If you were allergic to monosodium glutamate or to fish or to, in my case, peppers or things like that. So that's the nice thing about making it yourself, is you can put whatever you want into that. So I'm going to get all of these vegetables chopped up, and then we'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, so we've got everything all ready to go here. I'm going to start off with a little bit of oil in our wok, and we want to make sure that this is good and the pan is good and hot. So hopefully it decides it likes this on the induction cooker. And I'm going to put the meat, which has got Chinese 5-spice in it, and we'll pop that in, and we'll get that cooking. The key is getting everything cooking quickly. And we'll talk a little bit while this is cooking about the other ingredients. We have our aromatics. We've got onion, garlic, and ginger. That'll be the next thing after the meat. Then we have our broccoli, which I've cut the stems separate from the tops. Cut them into small pieces. We've got carrots and we've got celery. Then we have our bok choy, and I just love these little baby bok choys. So I cut that up, and I've got it 2 sections, one where it's the stem part and one where it's the leaves, because they cook at different rates. And then we've got bean sprouts and snow peas. Now you'll notice the oil I put in there was avocado oil. You want a type of oil that is going to have a good high smoke point. because you want to cook this quickly, so you can't afford to be going at a low heat. Now, if you don't have a wok, that's okay. For years, I didn't have a wok, and I just used my big sort of Dutch oven, my biggest pot, or you can use a big frying pan. Either works. The thing with a wok is it allows you to move things on the sides. The temperature is cooler than it is at the bottom. So it allows you to sort of control your heat a little bit just based on where it is in the pan. So now, because this is so thin, it doesn't take it very long to cook. So we're just going to pop that back into the bowl. We'll put a little bit more oil in. Key is having everything, of course, moving all the time in this. And we're going to add in our onions. The aromatics always go in first because that allows their flavors to come out. We've got garlic, and we've got ginger. Now, I have minced ginger here. If you had whole ginger root, that's quite all right. That even actually goes very well. You can have like the chunks of ginger in there. And, okay. Then we're going to put in the stems from the broccoli. You notice I'm not putting any extra liquid in this, and yet it's producing liquid. Much like when we did the vegetables for the steak and ale pie. And we're going to add in our carrots and our celery. While that's cooking, we'll talk a little bit about sauces. Of course, I've got soy sauce, which is going to be our main salty part of this. And hoisin sauce, which is kind of a combination, I believe, of black bean sauce and soy sauce and a few other things. Black bean sauce is actually made from fermented soybeans. It's not actually beans at all. But I've got those two today. If you have food sensitivities, of course, you want to make sure that you're reading your labels very carefully. Make sure that there's nothing in there that you're allergic to. So now we're adding in our broccoli florets. And at this point, I'm going to add in a bit of soy sauce, so we do have a little, because it does add a bit of moisture as well as the flavoring. So the broccoli does take just a few minutes to cook. We could put the lid on it for just a minute or two at this point if we wanted. All right, so a few more minutes in here. And the broccoli, you can tell it's brightening up in color. Now, a couple of things, if this was winter time and you didn't have access to a good lot of fresh vegetables, there's usually the celery and carrots available. But things like broccoli, you can certainly use the frozen stuff. And what you can do to kind of speed up the process a little bit is just parboil it. Just cook it a little bit on the stove. Don't cook it all the way through, but just speed up that process just a bit. And when the broccoli is done almost to your liking, then we're going to add in our snow peas. Just think in terms of how hard everything is and how long it takes to cook. And we'll add in the stems of the bok choy. And just use whatever kind of vegetables you've got access to. I'm not even going to bother putting down a recipe on the description in this because it really is dependent on what's available to you. The big thing is that there isn't much call for tomatoes in Oriental cooking or this type of stir fry. That wouldn't go well, but you want something with some solidity to it. Okay, so that's just about done. Now we're going to take our friend sesame oil. And remember, sesame oil, we're using that as a flavoring, not as a cooking oil. But we're going to put just a little drizzle of that on. And I'm going to put some of my hoisin sauce on. Oyster sauce goes really well with this too. So we're going to put our bean sprouts in and the leaves to the bok choy. And as soon as our leaves are wilted, then our dinner will be ready. And Coco is here hoping I'm going to drop a piece of this pork. Hopefully I'll get a picture of her later. She just had a bath yesterday, so she's feeling like she's ready for her close-up, you know. Okay, so now we're going to add our pork back in. That not only warms it up, but it also adds the flavor from the 5-spice into that. And that's it. Dinner is ready. And so like we say, the big thing is having all of your prep work done. Because as you can imagine, with the speed that went, there would be not very much time to be chopping things up in between additions to this. And there we have it. Dinner served. So I'll give you a close-up there. And thank you for joining us today on Hilltop Stovetop, where we made a wonderful fresh stir fry for our supper tonight. And I hope that you remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.